This Moc is based around the character Kardu'sai'Malloc. He's from the planet Deveron, and we first see him in episode 4 in the Cantina when Luke and Obi-Wan go in. There isn't a whole lot of backstory about him, but I'll tell you what I found. He was a cruel army captain who committed many deadly crimes, which led to some of the highest bounties ever being placed on his head, and forcing him to flee his homeworld. It's a pretty safe assumption that the Empire put at least some bounties on Kardu, and it could have been for any number of things, including running a resistance against the Empire, or killing a stormtrooper, or stealing from the Empire. And so this Moc is going to be all about his flee. It's going to be showing the moment where he decides it's time to go. He packed up all his luggage, he's ready to leave. I think this character is a really interesting one, and I hope we get some more backstory about him in the future, but for now I'm kind of just going to work with what I have and make my own expanded universe Moc based around that information that I could find. We also don't see a lot of Deveron. We see it in an episode of the Clone Wars where Savage Opress is there, and he kills a master and an apprentice at a Jedi temple, but that doesn't really give us a feel for what a settlement might be like, because Kardu is definitely not living in the Jedi temple, so I can't really base anything off of that, except maybe some of the plants and foliage. So I'm going to do my best to recreate Deveron from the images that I have and kind of just take some creative liberties with it along with the story that I'm telling, because there isn't a lot about Kardu, so I can kind of do a lot of what I want. Alright, so I got the landing platform all finished here. We've got some bricks in the ground to make it look destroyed and some yellow line markings to show where to land a shuttle. And I have some snot bricks down in the back. You can see Kardu is standing on one of them. And that's where his luggage is going to be, and I kind of just put some on there to show you what it will look like in theory. And there's going to be a lot more. I have a couple different things that I have planned for that. And I just realized I do have to extend the black border just a little bit by probably a 1x4 brick on both sides to let it connect up to the land that is going to be brown and green, and make sure it's all connected together and make that destroying process of the black border a little easier for just the edges, and also just to allow the spillover of the green to the sides of the Moc to make it seem a little more organic. I went with an almost completely snot landing platform because I think it just looks better than tiling it over wood, and it allows me to get these thin yellow lines in, and just a little bit of greebling and damage in the floor. And the only thing that's not snot is that little 2x4 plate with some little damage on it. And I think that just adds a little bit of depth to it. That's nice. But I think the snot platform definitely worked out better than if I were to plate and tile the whole thing. The next step in the Moc is going to be expanding the back. I'm going to be adding lots of greenery and brown and making it look like a really overgrown forest, and maybe a little path. That could be nice. And I'm planning on having it spill over the edges quite a bit. So on the left side and the right side, it's going to go probably 6 or 7 studs out, but I'm going to let it kind of be organic and form itself as I go along building it. And it'll probably be free-form edge and just make it look like the greenery is kind of taking over the Moc space and really eating everything, and this landing platform is kind of barely holding it together. Because from the few reference images you can find of Deveron, that's kind of what it's like. It's very overgrown, lots of branches and trees, and it looks like it would be very, very difficult to traverse through. Alright, so I made some work in the terrain. We've got kind of the freeform snot edge over here. We're going to kind of carry that around the side. I think I might make it go out maybe 2 bricks. So it'll go in, and then out, and then in. It'll be like that. It'll be kind of curved and slopey and green over there. And less brown. And this side's going to be more brown. I'm going to try to make this transition nicer and obviously detail the terrain. I think there's going to be a little path that runs right through there. And I started working on this really barky tree. It really looks like super barky. We're gonna have like a bunch of foliage up top. The leaves are gonna connect up here. I'm gonna try that. Haven't tried it. We'll see if it works. We'll have like a little smaller branch right here. So you saw it in the time lapse, but this is just snot bricks, brown snot bricks with these plates on the side. It's gonna be easy to pull off. So just like that. And I like how janky this looks, and it's pretty simple. It's not super smooth. It's not nearly as smooth as this is, so it's kind of a harsh juxtaposition, but I think that's okay. I think this is representing those like big rooty things that are kind of go through the air, like that. I just did a little bit of off-camera work on finishing up this edge. This is raised up a little bit over here. I think that looks pretty nice, and I think it really finishes off the side. It kind of all slopes and goes out to the edge. Could be a little bit more smooth, but I don't really have enough green to like get this corner properly solved. And I'm kind of running low on green plates and wedges and stuff, but I think it completes it pretty well on that edge. Makes it really feel all full. Get this really filled with plants, and we'll time lapse that. I finished all the foliage. I made another baby tree, and like a little tiny other tree, like kind of 3 stages of life for the trees, and I think that tree does its job well enough. I don't really love the one in the back, but adds a little bit more height. I like how the plants all kind of fed over here, and it feels really natural and overgrown, and like obviously you can't walk that way. You can only walk through the path. I'm gonna bring this a little bit closer. So yeah, you can kind of see it's tough from this angle because he's standing on it. Let me tilt this down. Yeah, the path is like the only place that's not completely covered. There's a little bit of a cut through, and the stormtrooper's kind of walking in and taking up that space and making it seem like you can't walk on it, but because he's already walking on it. So I think that works really well. I got the little snail and a little yellow, I don't know, mushroom or flower or something on that. So the back half is basically done. I don't think I'm going to do very much besides slight adjustments, maybe a little bit of adding here and there of details and stuff. But what now I need to do is bring in the green, because this feels very forwards in the mock. It feels like this is the back half, and it's the back half, this is the front half. Very much background, foreground. But I want to bring some of that background into the foreground in the shape of something like this. So this is going to kind of lead up into this green and maybe eat away a little bit at this. And then I might have something in this front corner. So I'm going to get working on the greenery and getting that all finished up and balancing out the mock a little bit more, bring it a little more forwards, bring the background up. And then I'm going to get Kardu in here and get him and his luggage all over the place, see how that looks, and then add either 1 or 2 more stormtroopers out here somewhere, which will help definitely balance it out. Alright, and I believe this mock is completed. Here it is, the completed mock. Kardu'sai'Malloc about to escape his homeworld while the Empire is in pursuit. Up front we've got Kardu, and he's just smiling his evil smile because he's not worried about these 3 stormtroopers. He knows they can't hit anything. He's not worried at all. He's ready to make his escape. He's got all his cargo. He's got someone in carbonite. We don't know who. He's got guns laying all over the place. Very clearly a crime lord. He's standing here waiting on this landing pad that is severely overgrown, really damaged, clearly not taken care of. And the Empire is trying to come in here and put a stop to it. Over here on the right side, I really like the way that free-formed edge came out, nice and green and lush. It really seems like maybe it's part of a hill, and it just feels super overgrown. Overall, I really love how the greenery came out and how it juxtaposes this landing pad, the smooth snot surface, and then the stud-filled, plant-filled greenery in the back. Thank you very much for taking the time to check out my mock. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to making this an ongoing series that comes out on Mondays. See you next time.